Gay people deciding that they are not going to go along with what their family wants, that they're not going to get married to a straight person. And I've seen the spiritual path, a righteous path, a dharmic path, a purpose-driven life, whatever you call it. It requires courage. And whether that courage is because you're standing up for something as challenging and difficult and even controversial in some societies as to your sexual preference, a difficult discussion now than to repent decades later. The highest way to embody and embrace and live on our path is in truth. Whether it's your spiritual life, and even whether it's your family life. We may think that if I just lie and go along with it, everybody will be happy. But the truth is, if you're really in a loving relationship with someone, if you really love someone, they're your child, they're your sister or brother, you want them to live their truth. You don't want them to lie to you. I mean, could you imagine finding out that your son or daughter or sister or brother had lied to you for not just years, but decades? And that they'd had to lie to themselves and society their entire life because they were worried that you'd be angry? I can't even imagine how devastating that would be. To know that someone you loved hadn't trusted you enough to tell you the truth. Now, that doesn't mean it's going to be easy. It isn't easy. I've been witness to both sides. Young gay people deciding that they are not going to go along with what their family wants, that they're not going to get married to a straight person. And I've seen the difficulty that they face. But I've also seen the other. I've seen marriages in which just to go along, just to make the family happy, people give up, deny the truth of who they are. And what I promise you is it doesn't make anybody happy. When it eventually ends in divorce, nobody is happy. Nobody says, well, at least we tried. It's always a matter of, why did you deceive us? We should have known this from the beginning. And this is true really about everything, about who we are. The spiritual path, a righteous path, a dharmic path, a purpose-driven life, whatever you call it, it requires courage. And whether that courage is because you're standing up for something as challenging and difficult and even controversial in some societies as to your sexual preference, or whether it's just that you don't want to be a doctor or an engineer or whatever it is that your parents want you to be, that everybody else in the family is. But going along with something that is not who you are doesn't actually make anyone happy. And this is where courage is required. And it's where every one of us really is called upon to stand up in our highest truth. And obviously we try to do it as kindly as possible. But we recognize that truth is a core, critical aspect of Dharma. Now, Bhagavan Krishna says something really interesting in the Bhagavad Gita. He says, dharmic speech, tapas of speech, is that which is true, kind, and beneficial. Now, that was a surprise to me because I was always one of those coming from America where it was truth at all costs. Whatever it may be, tell the truth, suffer the consequences, let other people suffer the consequences. If they can't handle it, that's their problem. Truth at all costs. What I've learned as I've grown both in maturity and spiritually is that isn't always true. But the places that it's not true are not about the core of who you are. It's things like you're walking out of the house to go to a wedding, a party, or something, and your friend, your wife, your child, says, "Do I look fat in this dress?" Now, maybe they've gained some weight recently. So essentially they're going to look fat in whatever they wear. But you're running late. It's too late to change. As it is, they've gained weight, so it's not like there's something else they could wear that's going to change that. To say, yes, you look fat, is going to do nothing but make them feel miserable. It is most definitely not kind. It is most definitely not beneficial. And so that would be considered something that you would not say. Now, you might later on in the night or later at an appropriate time raise the subject that this person seems to have put on an unhealthy amount of weight and maybe they'd like to join a gym or, whatever it might be, depending on the relationship. But just because something is right to say doesn't mean it's always right to say in every moment. So that's the teaching on right speech from the Bhagavad Gita. But to hide the truth of who you are is neither kind nor beneficial. It's taking the easy way out. It's the conflict-averse way of moving through life. And while we all should, avoid as much conflict as possible, obviously, there are times and places where a little bit of conflict is necessary. If you're up against someone or something that is pushing you or wanting you to not live your truth. And so to our anonymous question asker, I would say most definitely, do not under any circumstances get married to a straight person if you know deep in you that you are gay and that there is no changing that. Because all you're going to do is make yourself miserable, make your new spouse miserable, live a lie, and make everyone who cares about both of you miserable. It's better to have a difficult discussion now than to repent decades later. Being true to yourself and being true to others is a critical aspect of spirituality. And if people really love us, they do want us usually to live according to their agenda. But that's because they think that we're going to be happy according to their agenda. It's because it's all they know, and so they think, well, this is the way to do it. But ultimately, at the end of the day, more than living according to their agenda, people who love us want us to be happy. And so if you can really show them the truth of who you are and have that courage, it's absolutely the best decision. Otherwise, think about it. You're depriving the person you marry of essentially their whole life, of the possibility for them of being married to someone who actually wants to be with them. No one should ever feel like they are giving away their entire lives to someone who's essentially compromising or settling to marry them. That is not something you should ever do to another being. And so if you're getting married to someone just to calm your family down, it's violence, it's hinsa against your own true self, but also very directly against this person you're marrying. Because then you're not just lying about yourself. You're taking someone else along for the ride and ruining their life. So have the courage. Have the courage to be honest and open. At the end of the day, I promise you, it is the right decision. It will be difficult for a little while, or even for a long while. But it's absolutely the best decision.